Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this podcast. This is Doug with News and Views by Doug. So, you've probably all seen where the announcement that Spirit Airlines has gone out of business, leaving all their passengers stranded as of yesterday and 17,000 people without jobs. Now, Spirit has never financially done well, but the government certainly didn't help them. Last week, I believe President Trump offered them a handout where the government would take over the airlines and then try to find someone to buy it. But that was shut down by Congress and Elizabeth Warren. In 2024, when Spirit Airlines was trying to merge with JetBlue, she basically was responsible for shutting the whole thing down and basically saying that it wasn't going to help the consumers. Well, what this podcast is about, a couple of things. The first part is going to be about insider trading when it comes to our federal politicians with insider knowledge and selling and buying stocks and making millions. The second part of this podcast will be some accusations supposedly made by Eric Swalwell, the disgraced congressperson from California, and how he's implicating others. So, Elizabeth Warren, it's reported that she owned 20,000 shares of Spirit Airlines, and she sold the stock of 20,000 2 weeks ago. That's the reports that are coming out. Now, we've heard it over the years that all these politicians, both sides, Democrats and Republicans, have been making money from stocks, a lot more money, and they're a lot more profitable than the normal person is. You and I couldn't be this good with stocks. But let's go back to the year 2012. Let me get my glasses here. The Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act of 2012, also known as the Stock Act, was signed by President Obama on April 4th, 2012, and here we are in 2026. It prohibits members of Congress, their staff, and federal employees from using non-public information for private financial gain. It requires, under the Ethics in Government Act, that officials disclose the financial transactions or their financial transactions within 45 days and mandates public online access to these reports. Well, we've been talking about it for years. Pelosi. She is probably the most successful stock trader in the world of all human history. This woman, she doesn't lose. Every time she buys and sells stock, she's making money. And of course, she has insider knowledge. And no one's shutting her down. There's reports indicating that in 2025 and 26, members of Congress continued to make massive trades. According to data from 2025, top traders included members such as Representative Ro Khanna, Representative Michael McCaul, and Senator Richard Blumenthal. In 2020, there was a big scandal where Senator Richard Burr, Kelly Loeffler, and Dianne Feinstein faced scrutiny for selling stocks shortly before the COVID-19 market. It's on both sides. A congressperson only makes 174,000 a year, and yet they've got millions of dollars. That's one of the things that came down with Ilhan Omar from Minnesota. She and her husband, don't know which of the three, but their finances came into question because, again, here's a woman making 174,000 a year, and that's been the salary for, I think, the last 16 years. I could be wrong on that. And yet she was supposedly worth millions of dollars, her and her husband. And when it started being investigated as to where that money came from, she suddenly changed her financial status from millions down to under 1 million. They owned a winery in California. They had an LLC set up, but nobody could find the winery. Nobody could find any bottles from the winery. And yet it was worth millions. Well, as soon as word came out, they supposedly killed the winery, and they killed their LLC with the state of California on that winery. Now, mind you, again, no one knew where this winery was. When they went looking for this vineyard, they couldn't find it. The surrounding vineyards, companies, they'd never heard of it. So here it is, Pelosi, millions of dollars she's made. Feinstein. These people it's never enough. They've always got to have more and more money. Because again, money is power in this country. Not saying money's a bad thing. We're all working for it. We're all trying to live better lives. But when you've got your representatives going in poor, coming out rich, there's a problem. The only representative that I can think of that went in rich and is going to come out rich is Darrell Issa here in San Diego County. He is the owner of Viper Car Alarms, and he had that company before he got involved in politics. So he was worth millions before he entered Congress. But the rest of them? And a lot of people may not know, but President Trump, his first term and now this term, he donates his salary as president to charity. He doesn't need the money. He's got billions. So the second part of this video, it's come out that Eric Swalwell the disgraced California representative that was running for governor, he resigned a couple of weeks ago because of the sex scandal. His staffers were accusing him of rape, of forced sex. He was making movies, and they weren't being deleted. And congressional leaders were calling him the Snapchat king. He just loved posting on Snapchat. And in the one video that became public, there's a person, another male, sitting on the bed with Eric and this woman, and it looks like it's a representative from the state of Arizona. And in the video, you can really only see the shoes and a little bit of the face, but the shoes were a direct match to this representative from Arizona in another photo, exact match for shoes. Well, it's coming out, and I don't know if this is true. This is, social media posts, that Eric is now dropping the dime. He's snitching on other politicians that were at his sex parties. And he's claiming these two, AOC and Hakeem Jeffries, that they hooked up at one of these parties. Now, both of these people are engaged to others, but Eric is saying that, nope, these two hooked up. And then he's also naming some other big-time Democrats that hooked up at some of his little get-togethers. Don't know if it's true. Right now it's just an accusation, but we'll see where it goes if it's true that he's snitching on others. So, anyways, folks, again, I tend to be on the conservative side, but both sides of the aisle are dirty, Republicans and Democrats. And we really need a third party, a strong third party that is, in my opinion, conservative, has high morals, is ethical, and is pro America and puts Americans first. So that's just my opinion. What's yours? Please subscribe, hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Leave a comment. Would love to hear from you folks. You take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend.